Welcome back. Episode 2, Toxically Stoked. I'm here with Addy Griffin of Officer Down, Indifferent and Weak Knees. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on here. This is really cool. I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. We are very toxically stoked to have you. So please, I'd like to give you a second to just kind of introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about who is Addy.
so what's up? I'm Addy. As some people say, I'm in every band in Nashville, which is not true. But I moved to Nashville in 2020 when I lived from Wisconsin to go to school for audio engineering, and then I just kind of kicked it off with Weak Knees, and then kind of grew my network through that. I've been in the DIY hardcore scene since I was probably 18, going to all the shows in Milwaukee, which was really cool and very like humbling and formative for me. So like coming here, like it wasn't like a culture shock. They have very similar scenes, which is really interesting to see. Yeah. So other than that, I love cooking. I have a cat named Trisket. He might make an appearance, but it's raining, so he's a little scared. And yeah, my main instrument is drums. I've been playing drums since I was 10, so it's about 17 years now. So
Okay. So you said so from Milwaukee.
yeah, I'm from like Madison, but the scene was only in Milwaukee
Gotcha.
at
So
the time.
okay. So you said the Nashville scene and the Milwaukee scene, a lot of similarities. Were there any like stark differences?
Um, I would say like I think just going off of memory, the differences were like um I guess I'm very awkward and I'm very socially anxious. So like getting my foot in the door in Milwaukee was just hard because there's like a lot of people like you have to cut your teeth a little bit in both
Okay.
scenes to like have people like actually like, get to know you. So like you go to shows for a while, people don't know who you are, but also be me like super anxious. Like I don't talk to anybody. But like after a while, when people start realizing like, hey, you go to every show, I'm gonna see who you are because like you're here no matter who the bill is. And so but the differences are like um just from my experience, I feel like Nashville's a little more friendly, a more community driven, but Milwaukee is like right behind it. It's not like drastic, it's like
Sure.
this close, very, very close. Like the scene there is really close knit, tight knit. Everyone's like there for each other. And like the same thing I could say about here.
Cool. Yeah, that seemed very obvious, the close-knitness of the Nashville scene at that House of Heg show we met
Yeah,
at.
that was crazy.
That was so sick. And yeah, it was just the love in the air was extremely obvious to me. Having been the first time I had seen all those Nashville bands. So yeah, that's good to hear. That's awesome. And so Weak Knees was the first band.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how that like formed and where did that name come from?
Um, I don't really know. I think they were picking like funny name type
Sure.
beat. I joined them a year and a half into them being a band. Their old drummer dropped out of college and moved back to Washington to um I forget the term, but they're basically going to go into environmental with a focus of mushrooms,
Oh, cool.
mycology. So they needed, I was with our bass player, Will Shepard, who's also in Human Shield. Um,
Oh, cool.
now, and we're in a class, and he's like, we need a drummer. And I was like, I do that.
Yeah, pick me.
Can I try? So they sent me, they didn't really send me an audition. I really wanted to be in this band. I was like, this is my foot in the door. I really want to be in the scene. I want to be involved again. Um, so I learned their entire discography in a month.
That's
Uh,
badass.
and it was supposed to be it was a video audition, and I didn't really know what they wanted me to learn. So I recorded me playing drums to all their songs off their first LP, Piney Island. And then I had to go to Germany for school. So because I was like, there's a chance they're gonna be like, hey, here's the songs, send the video. You have like a week to do it. And my fear was like, I'm gonna be in Germany, I'm gonna miss this chance. So I just like pre-recorded everything. And sure
Wow.
enough, it happened. And I just sent them the 2 videos. And like, if you need any more, I recorded your whole album. They're like, what the
That's incredible.
fuck?
That's good stuff. Yeah, you wanted it, and looks
Yeah.
like you got it. School for Germany, or Germany for school. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I went to school for audio engineering. So like in the summer for 3 weeks, I went to Germany to study more about live engineering and like how this like a lot of the big name speakers that you if you go to huge arena shows or like what's a even if you go to like Heaven at the Masquerade in
Sure.
Atlanta, they're using those giant like professional like speakers and like we went to learn how to like how they're made, how like the how people do signal processing to make them work and like every like to the science like it was like very physics heavy. We were like talking about like equations and physics and shit and like
Wow.
talking about like how what they put in the speaker themselves, how it guides waves and yeah, a lot of math, a lot of nerd shit. I don't really talk about it a lot because a lot of it goes over everyone's head.
Sure. It would definitely go over mine a little bit, but I bet that makes you a great asset for a band. I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, it definitely helps, especially when like, um, especially with like Officer Down, like a lot of the samples and stuff was just me doing it because I knew how and I just love all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So all those bass drops and the samples that were firing, that was all me and just like me being a nerd in my room.
Oh, well, they are awesome. So thanks for doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like to so you could probably take this two different ways. Like, what do you like to write about? Do you write the songs for Indifferent?
I do. I write everything.
Okay.
Um the only things I don't sorry, I'm sick. The only thing I don't write for Indifferent is the keyboard, their synth parts, but I
Okay.
write guitar, bass, drums, vocals, all that. Um a lot of the stuff I write about for Indifferent is like um just my upbringing, like me growing up as like a trans person and like my experiences I've had through it. Some of it's more obvious than others, but like my goal is like, yes, it's about my story and everything, but I also want it broad enough for people to go, I'm not trans, I'm not dealing with these things, but I relate to what you're dealing with. I understand that. I know someone or I am going through the same thing. And like that's the whole premise of our EP that's coming out called You're Not Alone. Just to be like, even if you're not dealing with the same thing, we're dealing with similar things. And I want you to know that we're all here for each other.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What would you say? So is maybe the like absolute central theme like feeling or being like misunderstood, something like that, or just kind of not belonging?
Um, I could say like a lot of it is like, I guess maybe being misunderstood, but like it's a lot of a reflection of like how society treats people that may not be the same as you.
Sure.
So how government is viewing like queer people as like this huge threat and this huge like enemy of the state. And they're like, oh, these people are out to kill you and hurt your children. Where it's like, no, dog, I'm trying to live like you and just vibe out, you know?
For sure.
Like, I don't want trouble, but you're causing me to lash out.
Hey, that's fair. I can only imagine. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. I love that. And kind of in part two, and if it's the same answer, so be it. What inspires you like just creatively? Maybe not so much like what you write about, but like what are the things that like it just drive your creative engine for like just making music, if there's anything different?
Um, so the process for me really is like I just listen to a lot of different genres or stuff. So that's why like mainly metalcore is my main niche of genre, but like what drives my creative like ambition is either like for me Indifferent is it was started and always will be a vent project to me, just venting about how I'm feeling. But like the creative drive really is like I'll either like sit in my room for a while and just like play guitar, noodle something until it works. And then if I really like the riff, I'll like build off on it until I go, oh, I have a whole song. I'm gonna record drums, record bass.
Cool.
And then I just like drink too much coffee and go on long walks and like freestyle lyrics until like I just let my subconscious like speak for me until like something sticks.
Okay. When you're writing lyrics, do you actually physically write or do you do more of just kind of like freestyle reflection in your head?
It's mainly like a freestyle reflection, but like I'll just freestyle something and go, oh, I like that. I'll write it down. And then I'll do that process and then I'll look back at it and then go, okay, this doesn't flow well. I'll revise it and like really build it to make it more stronger. Sometimes I will write the lyrics first and figure out how to incorporate it to instruments, but that process usually takes me a lot longer just because now I was like, I know what I want it to sound like, but I'm having trouble like translating it from my brain to an actual instrument.
Sure. Yeah, as somebody who's never played or done music, I have like creatively written like short stories and stuff like that. And man, I can only imagine this is even harder as like in a music sense, but like get all these ideas and then you're like, oh, I know exactly how to like get this on paper. And then you get to the paper and you're like, none of this sounds like it sounds up here.
Yeah.
I imagine that's brutal for at least some people writing, whether it's music or lyrics. Do you ever run into that kind of like, shit, this didn't come out like exactly like I wanted it to here, but the idea's there.
Yeah. I feel like our first single, Tell Me Everything, did not is not how I envisioned it originally. I recorded it with I wrote it with my friend Hyde, who's in the band, and then when I recorded with Ori, who's also a producer and also in the band, we tweaked it a lot. We tweaked it heavily. There was a bridge that is a guitar solo. It used to be a spoken word part, but I didn't like it, so we scrapped it. And we would sit back and forth like, how do we make this part interesting? Because it's really dry
Hmm.
right now. Just a lot of cool things. Like I also never intended Indifferent to have like crazy auto-tuned vocals, but we decided it was a better creative decision and it would be a lot stronger for all the songs.
Okay, rock and roll. Sort of a segue here. Tell us a little bit about what's going on internally while you're performing live. Having seen you play once at the House of Hags, I've always been fascinated by, when I'm watching people play music, just what their internal experience is. Like, how much are you thinking about the crowd? How much are you just in your instrument? Like, are you nervous? Is it something that is more cathartic? Like, what is that like for you?
Um, I guess I'm not really nervous performing anymore. I've been in the game for like 10 years. Um, and
Nice.
it like started off with like just being like marching band in high school, like performing in front of like hundreds of people. Like you get like that was nerve-wracking when I was like 14,
Sure.
but after a while, like you just get used to it. Um, what goes on in my head mostly is like, oh, I want to make sure like the crowd's enjoying it or like people are like receiving stuff well. Sometimes if like a technical issue goes off, like I will like think the whole time like why is this happening? How is it happening? How can I fix it by like the next song or just analyzing stuff. Um I do move around a lot. I just can't sit still, but I've also like watched tons of videos. I grew up watching like Warp Tour videos
Hell
from
yeah.
like 2012, 2014, just watching these people go crazy. And I was like, I want to be like that. And then it's like that segued into watching Hate 56 videos and always being like, oh, one day I really want to play This Is Hardcore in Philly. And just watching everyone go nuts is also insane. So I was just always like, when I move around and go crazy on stage, usually it's an invitation for everyone else to move around and go crazy in the pit or just watching because it's just like, hey, I'm going crazy, you can go crazy. Like just so it's usually those are the times when people go. Um, those are the times where like it's really good to see that happen. Um, But other than that, other things that go in my head is just like, am I in time with the drummer? Or if I'm the drummer, am I synced in with the bass player? People looking at me, or um, the last show of Indifferent, we had an issue with our in-ear rig. I had to give the one of the guitarists my rig or my ears, so I was flying blind the whole time because we have a lot of tempo changes, a lot of pauses, and
Sure.
like the whole time I'm like, I hope to God like we are playing clean because I am flying blind and I put my entire trust in my band. So and it worked out really well. So I'm grateful that I'm around like a lot of professional musicians as well. So
Excellent. You mentioned, some anxiety struggles earlier in the interview. If anything, what would you say performing live has like maybe big picture done for your like day-to-day anxiety? I could see that being a very like long-term like beneficial thing to do. I mean, you were directly challenging likely what your anxiety is like trying to convince you you're scared of or should be nervous about. So like has performing done anything like positive for just the day-to-day anxiety?
um yeah, it really helps me with like knowing that I can like be able to do something and not be like made fun of or just like belittled for. Because it takes a lot of bravery to be on stage, and
Absolutely.
like if you have a new band or you're starting out, like it takes a lot of guts to go on that and like be vulnerable to 20 to 50 people depending on like how like what the bill is, and that's scary for like a new band. Like I totally get it. So but like for my day to day um like I've been a little bit more brave. I've been able to like speak out a little bit more about like, hey, here's an idea, this is what I want to do you think it's something we can run? Because like one of my band directors from high school told me like the worst thing you could people will tell you is no. So like just do the audition, say the idea, do the thing you want to do. Like worst case, you say no. That's the end of the day. Do something else or find a workaround. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a great answer. I imagine that, yeah, as somebody that again doesn't perform, I've just always again thought about like how anxiety inducing that would be, maybe at least at first. And then also, I imagine that you get off stage sometimes and it's like, ah, man, did it again. Like, it's like another example of like anxiety being wrong, I guess, if you want to word it that way. Um, what are some inspirations for you specifically that we like wouldn't be able to guess based on listening or looking at your music?
um some inspirations that you wouldn't get is like I listen to a lot of like lo-fi a lot of lo-fi
Oh,
like noise tracks like before they blew up I was a huge like teen suicide fan, so I would listen to that like all the time back in like 2017. I also just love like underground rap. I think that's a lot of like there's a lot of like cross correlation between that and hardcore, so like it's not that surprising. um but just like those music genres, I love just like whiny music. I think it's really fun. I
me too.
love I just love when like I was like the more discernible it is, the more it sounds like you're recorded out of a potato, the more I'm interested because it's just like you're new or this is what you're going for and I really am giving you a chance and like I love what you're doing. I can see the vision. So other than that, like other inspirations I take that you wouldn't really know is just like just like worldly experiences, just being able to like go outside and being able to like just look at the world in a different scope than what other people might see, because everyone has a different perspective on what they're interpreting when they are either outside at a show, watching a film, reading a book. So it's just really interesting to see how like your interscope of your perspective can be.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Um, Again, sort of a segue. We're getting into some maybe more fun questions here. You're tasked with creating a lineup. It's you are performing. You can even pick which band of yours is playing, but it's your band plus five other bands on the bill. What are those five bands and where are you gonna play?
Okay. So I cheated. I did prepare this one because
That's
it was
okay.
really interesting.
And by the way, let me add this real quick. One of the caveats, I can't remember if I mentioned this prior, they have to be actively playing right now. So they would have to be able today be able to play.
Okay, well, there's one band that isn't active.
Well, I'd like to hear it anyway, but yeah,
Um, the band that isn't active anymore was this post-hardcore band from Minneapolis called Household, and they're just really, really good and melodic, and I really love them. Um, they have it was fun to see because like their 2015 album, they're just like super post-hardcore, super dreamy, and then their like newer album in like 2019 was like more like more emo influenced, more clean vocals. It was really cool. But that band doesn't count. They're not a band anymore. I love so segueing to the actual lineup. I love mixed bills. I think every show Indifferent has played has been a mixed bill.
cool.
Um, I don't know what of the three bands would fit. I think any of them could work theoretically, but my first band I would probably pick is Beartooth. They're just a huge inspiration to me. They're the band that really got me into DIY and hardcore. I discovered them in 2015, went to a festival, saw them live, and it was like I was obsessed. I like started doing research on the band and like figuring shit out and realized that Caleb Shoma was like an Attack Attack. So like um I wouldn't put Attack Attack on the list because I would want old Attack Attack because the new Attack Attack isn't the best. So
It's fair.
um it'd be Beartooth, Thrice.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Rock and
love
roll. Yeah,
Thrice has like crazy melodic bass lines and super fat and like I always try and learn their stuff, but it's really challenging, but I like the challenge.
cool.
So we have them, Thrice. Uh I knew I would blink on this. Um Are they a band still? Ah, man, you really destroyed me. No, I think they are. Capture the Crown, but they go by Capture now.
Okay,
They're like a 2012 like crabcore band, super influential.
cool.
If they aren't a band, I'll replace it with Ocean's 8 Alaska. So we'll do Beartooth, Beartooth Thrice, Ocean's 8 Alaska. Um, I picked three bands that aren't active anymore.
Yeah, what are they
Um,
though? I'd like to hear them.
The other one was Eves. They're just like this post-hardcore band from like Richmond, Virginia.
Cool.
But um, I will just counter it. And his new project is called Oisara from Colorado Springs.
Okay,
Very similar vein, a little darker themes, but it's just like this noise, grunge, wall of sound vibe. Um, since it's all like mostly like metalcore, post-hardcore stuff, like I feel like either Weak Knees or Indifferent would fit the bill pretty well. Weak Knees got a little heavier recently, so like I think Weak Knees might be the fit for this band for this bill. And then the venue, the venue would be at Majestic Theater in Madison, Wisconsin, just because like I grew up going there. So I feel like
sure.
it'd be such a full circle moment to play at the venue. Like I spent so much time watching bands play at.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of sweet to hear. I never know what to expect with this question, obviously, but it's sweet to hear Thrice just because the artist in the ambulance was a really impactful record for me growing up. And to this day, I put that thing on, semi-regularly. So
Oh
that's a
yeah,
sweet pick.
I'm a huge fan of Thrice. I really love Artist and Ambulance is a classic, but like I think I prefer Vishnu over Artist and Ambulance. It's just a lot more like ambient, but also still with the heavy stuff before they went into the Alchemy Index where it was like really chill.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Okay. That's incredible. I love that. Who is the most underrated local scene band right now? Give someone a shout out.
um I think. A band that deserves way more love is called Early Morning. Mourning, like mourning the loss of somebody.
Gotcha.
They are this like, again, I guess I'm just a post-hardcore girly. They are a post-hardcore band from Nashville, or half Nashville, half Evansville, Indiana. Um, but they have huge influences from what I gathered from Modern Color, but they're just more like, they have more of a hardcore influence than that. Because there's times where I'm like, they are playing a beatdown riff right now, or they're playing this like classic, like just like this classic like downbeat thing. Um, but they have a crazy wall of sound. And I think what they're doing right now is really cool.
Okay, yeah. I will. I definitely feel like I have stumbled across them kind of perusing a lot of these bands on Spotify. Would they be on Spotify?
They are on Spotify.
Okay.
They just did a tour recently. I don't know if they hit Georgia, but they definitely hit Alabama.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're on our Toxic Stoke like local scenes playlist. I'm gonna have to go give them a revisit. Appreciate that shout out.
This episode of Toxically Stoked, brought to you by Cut HM. And his name is John! Is your loved one and or your tax refund just on the other side of a single tree in the middle of a fairly wide path that you could easily circumnavigate, but the mechanics of the world around you somehow prevent you from taking 2 steps to your left or right in order to just go around the goddamn tree? Try Cut HM. It'll get you where you need to go. Not to be confused with the far superior and much more devastating /TM, which has no utility whatsoever outside of battle and is solely intended for whooping ass. In no way, shape, or form is /TM forced upon you by any sort of creator gods, like Cut HM. Disclaimer: Cut is dog shit in battle, and is also permanently imposed on your Pokemon for the rest of eternity, and therefore may lead to deep moveset regret. Please consult with your future self in regards to your Elite Four plans before teaching Cut. Now back to the interview.
Fine speech.
I always like to ask about like a specific album or like lyric or artwork or something. And so I'd like to kind of focus in on Indifference. Tell Me Everything. I was listening to that before we hopped on this call here. Sort of in a vague sense, what does Indifferent want to be told? What do they want to know? What does that title come from?
For Tell Me Everything.
Hmm.
So it basically, from when I started writing the lyrics, the whole thing was like, especially when the very beginning, it kind of sets it off where it's like, tell me what you can't see. Like you, and this is like, if I was having like conversation with someone who is like just full of hate and like just they really hate like the queer community, I was like, why do you hate them? Like, tell me everything you hate about it. Tell me, like, I want to know your perspective. But then I double down in the second phrase and I say, let me tell you everything you can't see. So it's like I'm having a conversation with somebody, which then in the next line, it goes into like me saying like how I'm watching you throw this huge temper tantrum about something that doesn't even matter, causing a lot of like trans youth kids to call crisis hotlines and
Sure.
make regrettable decisions. And I'm trying to be like, I don't want that to happen anymore. Where it's just like, obviously, and then like in the core, I would call it the chorus. It's just like saying like, it's apparent I've lost touch. It's just like people calling me like, you're crazy, you're delusional, you're mentally ill, you're not thinking rationally. And it's just like, maybe I'm not, but I feel like I'm really level headed in this topic, this perspective I'm living in. And I think that a lot of people have a lot of ignorance and they're not willing to open up their mind to see a different perspective on how people live their lives.
Wow, I'm glad I asked about that. I was again as I was listening to it earlier, like I was maybe able to piece together like generally sort of that idea, but I love the sort of split of like tell me everything, now let me tell you everything. That's super cool. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that.
of course.
Yeah. So getting into the real goofy ones here. We'll pick one of the bands you're in for this one. If Officer Down were a vegetable, What vegetable would Officer Down be and why?
Oh, I don't think that's a vegetable. This is what would we be? Um, I feel like this is a tough, goofy question.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We, oh, because I'm trying to think of everyone's personalities while we do this, but like I think I could see us being like a butternut squash.
Okay. What's the reasoning there? Can we flush that out just a tad?
I feel like because I don't know if you've ever tried to cook a squash, but that shit's hard to cut. So
Sure.
like from like that from the outside perspective, um, very tough, very hard band, like very in your face, very aggressive, like but um the more you like the more you like get to know us, the more you like feel us. Like if you render down a not a coconut, a fucking butternut squash. If you render it down when you cook it, I've also a professional cook, a chef, by the way. So I will say
Cool.
like terms. That's what I do in my work life. But yeah, you cook a squash, it gets really sweet, it gets really tender, it gets really enjoyable. So like at first you're like, oh, this band's aggressive, this is crazy, and then like the more you like digest Officer Down, you're like, oh, I really like their music, I like the messages they're sending. You realize, oh, these band the members aren't as like, we're just like some chill vibe people, we're just like very like very nice, very um we're just like, I don't know, I feel like saying a sweetheart would be a very funny thing to describe Officer Down, but everyone's very caring. And so like if you ever had like mashed like a mashed butternut squash or a candied squash, you're like, oh, this is sweet, this is enjoyable. So that's how I would compare Officer Down to a butternut squash.
Such a great answer. And as you were describing that, I just had this thought of like I wrote that question initially, definitely to be kind of funny and just throw sort of like a curveball in the interview. But what's been very interesting is that, and this is episode two, the two answers I've gotten to that thus far have been so thoughtful and like spot on, it seems, that I've grown to really be excited about that question. That's a great answer,
Thank
for
you.
real. That's good stuff. Um, Moving on to another sort of left field one. When a door is open, is it on or off? This one racked my brain for the last like month. I think about it like once a day.
I would say it's off because it's not closed. Like it's not doing the function of like separating rooms. So I feel like the door would be off. Would it? I guess you're not going to answer. You're not going to confirm or deny
I
mine.
go back and forth. I can't
I
decide really.
I feel like the reason why we have doors is to have privacy or a sense of one or a sense of security. So I feel like if you open the door, you're accepting the fact that I don't want this space I'm in to be private right now. And like I'm okay with whatever comes through that door. I guess that's why a lot of people have open door policies.
Sure. It's a great argument. Again, I flip-flop back and forth on this one pretty hard. I think it really, and Andrew from Low Before the Breeze was our first guest, and we kind of talked briefly about how I guess it boils down to what you think the original intention of a door is. Is it to put a hole in a wall, or is it to be able to like close off, um, like an opening in a wall, let's say? And yeah, I don't know, but I love your logic there.
Yeah,
Okay. Are there more eyes or legs on planet Earth?
I would say eyes.
Okay.
Sometimes sometimes shit happens and you lose a leg, like, but you could say that, you could argue that about eyes, but I feel like it's more common for someone to lose a leg than to lose an eye or sight.
Okay, let's expand this even further.
Okay.
All living creatures are included.
Oh,
So are there more eyes or legs on the planet?
my first thought was legs, but I'm sticking with eyes because I can't forget my aquatic and my reptilian friends.
Totally.
So we got snakes and fish and like sharks. Like they don't got legs, but they got eyes.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on this one. Andrew said legs. I remember that, and his argument was like the millipedes and centipedes and stuff, but like there's just so many fish.
There's so much. Like the ocean's so huge, and there's just a huge ecosystem. I don't want to be like environmental and be like, stop fucking using disposable plastic, but stop.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's a great message. Yeah, I think that's a great message. Okay. So we got two different answers for that one so far. I can't wait to see what the tally is at the end of all this. Um, this is one Ryan. You met Ryan at the House of Pegs, right? He's the other guy that runs Toxically Stoked.
Maybe briefly. I think it was more you I was talking to for most of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think he was right there, and he also said to say hi, by the way. So hello from Ryan.
Hello,
Um,
Ryan.
he came up with this question last night and sent it to me, and I love this one. So let me see if I can flesh this out. Well, you have to fight to the death against three of the four horsemen of fast food mascots. So the four fast food mascots, Ronald McDonald, the King from Burger King, Wendy, and Colonel Sanders. Those are our four.
Okay.
You pick one to be on your team, and you have to fight the other three. Who are you picking for your team?
Oh God. You know, I'm a I don't really eat any of those restaurants just because of my dietary restriction, unrelated. But my first thought was Wendy. I was like, us girls gotta stick together. So like we're in it till we die. So like we might not be the best at it, but we're gonna give it a fair shot.
That's great. When he asked me that, my initial thought was more on the negative of like, I don't know who I would pick, but it wouldn't be Ronald McDonald just because I feel like Ronald would be satisfying to fight or something. Like that was like my initial
Yeah.
thought.
I feel like he'd just be a little too goofy, but like in a cynical way.
Sure. Yeah, that's very borderline what I was thinking of. Yeah. Oh, lovely, lovely answer. So you and Wendy taking on the King, Ronald, and Colonel Sanders, dude. I would go Team Wendy and Addy. That's great. Um, if a crystal ball could tell you the truth, like the absolute truth about your life, the world, or anything else, what would you want to know? So you get to access a truth that might otherwise be completely inaccessible to humans in some way. Like, what would you want to know?
Oh gosh. That would be really interesting. I wouldn't want to waste it on something trivial, but I feel like I may want to just to satisfy that like child in me. And I would literally just be like, yo, is there life on other planets in space? Like I need to know. And if so, like how far away? Just so I know it's like, is it possible or is it impossible to like to see if they're to like maybe like in the future, maybe to do space travel or interstellar travel, I think would be really cool. Um just such like a thing because like the thing my dad and I always bonded on was like Star Wars and like Star Trek and any like space or sci-fi movie. So it's like it's very like, oh, I would love to explore that. And it was like a hyper fixation for me for like elementary and middle school. So like I think knowing if there's life on other planets would be a cool thing to know, even if it's trivial.
Sick. Yeah. We'll have, if there are life on other planets, we'll have to get them to a show, and support the scene.
Maybe they might be a little scared, a little culture shock.
Yeah. Can you imagine showing aliens like Officer Down or Indifferent or Weak Knees? That'd
Oh
be so
god.
sick.
Showing them like peeling flesh.
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah. Human Shield we referenced earlier.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie then? While we're on.
Oh, while we're on the topic, I think my favorite is definitely I really vibe with the second one. It's kind of a slow burn, but I was like for a while I was like obsessed with bounty hunters, and that was like the
Cool.
second movie was like the bounty hunter movie. And so
Yeah.
like I was always like, oh, I want to be Boba Fett so bad, or I want to be Jango Fett from like episode 4, I think, no, or 6, one of the two. I think it was 4. But like I just wanted to be a bounty hunter so bad when I was like 8. Like it's
Oh
all I
yeah.
thought about.
That's awesome. I think I got a Boba Fett Lego head right here.
Oh, sick. Let me
Yeah.
see. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Look
he's
at
kind of
that.
obscured by something else, but yeah, cool. So are you familiar with the trolley problem?
Yes.
Okay. This is one of my favorites. You're beside a track and you are seeing a trolley barreling down, heading towards your all-time favorite band. If the trolley hits your favorite band, they're okay, but their music disappears. Like you can never listen to it again. But you have the ability to pull a lever, divert the trolley. But if you do, it runs over your second, third, and fourth favorite bands. What do you do?
Oh yeah. Because I was gonna be like, oh, it's okay if I like save the band and the music only lives in memories. Because oh, I forget the channel that did it, but Markiplier and his friend did something like this where they recorded for a year and then deleted it, and like
Oh,
it
wow.
only lives in memory. But that would be tough because like I feel like in my mind, like my favorite band would still be Beartooth. So like, because like their drummer is also a big inspo for my drumming style. Their new drummer, um, which is not their new. He's been there for a while, but um, I feel like if I had to listen to Beartooth's music forever, but that means never seeing them live, but I saved the other bands, I feel like I could I like I couldn't deal with it, but like I feel like it'd be all right because the unfortunate truth about just being famous or entertainment is like you get more famous when you're
Fair, yeah,
dead.
very true.
So like if I saved the other 3 bands, I think long term it might be better. But in the short term, I'm just a mess. But I will save the 3 my top 4. I will save
Sure.
my 4 to 2 bands. Top 4 to 2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's I personally love that question, and yeah, I think it's harder than it may look on the surface, but I also love your reasoning. That is very true about the getting more famous after life. So appreciate that answer. You mentioned liking underground hip hop earlier. One of the questions I had written already was who's the best rapper alive, in your opinion?
Best rapper alive. Oh god, I might catch flack with this one. Cause like huh, a lot of rap similar to like emo music. Sometimes I don't like this term, but like a lot of people in the industry aren't good people. Sometimes you have to be like, I will discern the music from the artist, but like I hate doing that too. So like I really think someone who has also been a good um actually all of that doesn't matter. Sea Blue is a really good drill rapper from New York. Um the
Okay.
the the stuff he makes is insane. The beats, I don't know if he makes them himself or if he has a producer, but the beats are just aggressive. It has like that distorted, dirty 808 sound that I really like. And a lot of like SoundCloud rap from the 2016, 2019 era. That's like if I hear that, it just tickles my brain in a way where I'm like, this is crazy. But and like obviously he's writing about a lot of troubles he has and like
Yeah.
growing up in like the roughest parts of like the Bronx and whatnot. But his musicality, his flow. I love when rappers like switch from this is like music theory brain, but like I love when rappers switch from like duple to triple time. Like they're doing like a crazy flow and they go, fuck it, triplets. And I go, this is crazy. Um, so like the if you want me to listen to your rap projects more triplets.
More triplets.
More triplets. Cause it adds this like crazy, just like it just adds a cool flair to it. And I think a lot of people are very stuck on like duple, and a lot of
Hmm.
people do just like eighth notes or a very like a lot of flow is eighth notes with and quarter note triplets, which are cool, but I hear it all the time. But if we're doing like eighth note triplets,
Sure.
that's where it's at.
Okay. Does your answer change if we expand it to dead or alive, or does it stay the same?
um I think it does change for dead if they were a dead or alive. I really like um I really love SoundCloud rap. I wish he was a better person, but like a lot of music I caught myself listening to was XXX Tentacion. I felt like his early stuff like that the like distorted 808s was insane, but like his later stuff when he was trying to like become a better person and heal from his mistakes, because I know like it's controversial for me as a queer person to like him because he's very homophobic, but I could see he was trying to fix all that and make amends. Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I also love Lil Peep. I think those two in my mind are like pretty close contenders to being I don't want to say best rappers in the world, but best rappers of our current day.
Okay. Yeah, that love it. RIP. So for this question, we will pick, and I'll actually let you pick the band here. I'll let you hear the question, and then you can pick which band because it does specify like one band and one band only. Are you familiar with the show Alone? It's
No,
like
I'm
a
not.
it's like a reality kind of like competition style show, and basically what they do is they take these like survivalist type people to super remote parts of Alaska, Peru, wherever.
Okay.
They're allowed to bring a handful of things like survivalist tools, but ultimately they're dropped by themselves into these parts, and they just try to last as long as they can, and the last one standing kind of wins. But they have to hunt for their own food, they have to build their shelter, they have to do it all. So we can pick one of your bands, and all of you and your band members are on the show alone. Who lasts or survives the longest in the wilderness by themselves?
Hey, I'm gonna have to go with my mindset is indifferent.
Okay.
Um, and I know it's because it's like a lot of us are resourceful. I grew up backpacking and camping and
Oh,
being a survivalist type person from my family. It would be a steep competition between myself, Oriana, and Hyde. Um, Oriana was in Scouts for a while, and she was an Eagle Scout, so she definitely has that edge on for resourcefulness. I definitely think, I'm not trying to be biased. I definitely think I have a really good, like, I'm really good at making shit up as I go. Very good at improv, very good at like doing all that. My dad taught me everything I needed to know about surviving the wild. As he grew up he was in the military for a while, so like he basically taught me everything he knew from the military and how to survive. Um,
Good skill.
Good skills to have. And Hyde is also very resourceful. They like to they just love to like be in the woods. So like if if they're not at rehearsal or they're not at their job, they are in butt fuck nowhere, Tennessee, like with their banjo fucking doing something. I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I feel like out of it, I feel like it would be a really close call between Ori and I. I think Ori might be the one who would win because there's a good chance I'm not good at foraging, which is my downfall. Being um vegetarian, borderline vegan would be very tough for me to live out in the wilderness. Where I
Absolutely.
feel like um Ori has that edge just because she can, you know, hunt for hunt animals and fish and do all that. I mean, I'd probably try and go back to eating meat if we're like push comes to shove. I would try to do whatever, but
Sure.
I just know from experience that my body would reject it. So
Yeah,
I think
sure.
Ori would definitely win in this battle.
Okay. Yeah, super thoughtful again. That's awesome. You said what is their full name? You said
Oriana,
Oriana.
Oriana Lyons or Flores, Oriana Flores Lyons is her full name.
Okay. So kind of coming up on the end here. What is something that you wish more people understood about your music? Or what is something you wish more people like got or you know, knew about your music?
Um, sometimes I wish that people, and it's hard, but I sometimes I wish that people understood like the effort it takes to create music. It was really funny. The first Indifferent show, I messed up some stuff in our tracks rig, and our click track played through the mains the whole time. And I had someone come up to me and be like, "Does your drummer suck because they need a click? They need a metronome to play to your songs?" I'm like, "No, that's not exactly how it works." I was like, "Did you hear all the samples and all the like the snare bombs, the bass drops, the synths, like the tape stops? Did you hear all of that? Like there's a reason why we're on headphones and like because we need to be in sync with the tracks or else we will sound stupid." Um
Sure.
Sometimes it's like ignorance is bliss sort of thing, but like especially like Indifferent, we're such a technical band behind the scenes that you don't even realize. Um I've I've confused a couple sound engineers already where I'm like, this is your vocal line. And they're like, but you have two vocalists, but one line. I'm like, I know. Trust me. I know what I'm doing.
Fair.
Um, and it's like stuff like that, or like um stuff I wish other people would understand about like the the music I make. And it doesn't have to be centered around Indifferent. It can be any project I'm in. I've been in like I've I think I've counted Officer Down, I think would have been the seventh band I would have been in my lifetime. Um,
Oh,
and it's just like the music isn't always for you, and like you don't have to understand it. Like sometimes it's for us, or like, we like the art of being abstract and just like I love sharing like the art we create, aggressive or not, because I've been in shoegaze bands, classic rock bands, hardcore bands, and it's just like um I think just discerning like, oh, you're in a heavy band, therefore you only like heavy music. It's like, no, I actually
hmm.
love playing multiple genres because it always keeps me interested. there was something I was told back in like when I was like 13, like just still learning how to play drums is like someone I looked up to was like, you need to learn. There was this like chart of like 40 different rhythms that range from like rock to like Latin, jazz, funk,
Okay.
all that. And they were
Yeah.
like, to be a good drummer, you need to learn how to diversify. You need to learn how to play these different beats, how to play different styles of music. That way you can incorporate it in what you're playing and you keep things interesting. So like I could say that about the same thing. Like don't like, oh, you see this person, they're in a hardcore band, you see Addy and Officer Down. And it's like, yes, she likes heavy music, but also like they also love like shoegaze and like lighter stuff as well. Like you can't just judge a book by the cover.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Not judging a book by its cover. Do you feel like that happens quite a bit, being in music in the way you are?
I've come across it a lot more as like as a drummer, like um
Interesting.
people would be like, or when I was back in Wisconsin, I was in a shoegaze band. When we were starting that, they're like, "Oh, you're a metal drummer." I was like, "Yes, but no." I love every type. Like, let me know what I will feed off of the style you're playing. That's something I learned when I did a lot of jazz in high school. It's like my job is to complement, and it's just like playing music is like just having a conversation with other people who play. When you're in an ensemble, like I'm the drums don't have a melodic like sound, but a lot of my drumming technique is like I'll hear something I like. Say the guitar is playing this cool lick. I'm gonna try and complement it by accenting what they're doing or
Yeah.
doing something I feel like would complement them. Um, so like if the guitarist is going like I was like da, 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 then I'm gonna play on the snare drum that same rhythm. Like I'll go ga 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 the whole time. Like if I like that riff, I will complement what they're doing. Not I won't overtake it, but I'll play it quieter. But it'll amplify that moment and really highlight and tell the audience like, oh, this is a cool moment.
Sure. So being able
Um,
to like adapt.
being able to adapt and just like really learning how to talk to other musicians through music, I think is a very powerful skill.
Hmm.
Officer Down played a show in Memphis. We did Pest Fest, which is like a hardcore festival that just started.
Cool.
And there is this band called Cruelty. I don't know if you heard them, but they're from Japan
Okay. Nah,
and they're really good.
check them out.
When they were talking, like they're English, obviously, like not their first language. They were like struggling to talk or like find ways to figure out how to communicate to you. But when they started playing a song, you knew exactly what they were going through. Like you knew because it's just like, oh, music is such an easy language to like interpret in my opinion. Where it's like, yes, you might not be able to speak to people what you're talking about, or like, oh, I'm not, or like how grateful you are to be in this scenario, but like the way someone will move on stage or like express their feeling through music or art is very powerful.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I will check out Cruelty. That's their name, Cruelty.
Yeah, it's with a K.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
their patch is on my bass strap. So like the one you saw in the front, that's their patch.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I remember noting um your instrument at that show. I'll have to give it a Google to kind of like jar my memory, but I will be checking them out soon.
Yeah.
So, final question, and we'll let you get out of here. What's next for you in music, and what are you most excited for?
Um Next for me in music is I got Officer Down has a lot of things lined up in the summer. I don't think I can talk too much about the details,
Okay.
but we will be back in June.
Okay.
We will be back in June. We're cooking up something crazy. It may take y'all across the moon. Just saying. So
Excellent.
so we got some stuff cooking in the summer. That's gonna be crazy. And other than that, just like my goal is to start to like go to more shows that are outside of Nashville, just to watch. Like Birmingham and Memphis aren't terribly far away, and Atlanta's a doable drive. So like, and I have friends out there. So like my goal is to try and see more local bands, talk to them, meet more people.
Okay. Well, that, thank you for the clue, the nugget of Officer Down in our future. That's incredible. We can't
Yeah.
wait to see what y'all end up doing. And I definitely want to hit an Indifferent and Weak Knees shows too. So I'll be on the lookout for those as well if y'all are
Yeah.
ever around here. I travel for shows all the time. So
Yeah, we have Indifference playing is on tour next week. Is that next week? Oh God, that's next week.
next week is soon.
Almost next week. I don't know how close it is to Georgia, but we are playing a show in Columbus, North Carolina, March 29th.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like near Asheville. I don't know how far away it is, but
Okay.
worth a check out.
Oh man, whether I'm able to be there or not, I hope those shows go well. And also, Addy, thank you for your time
Of
today.
course.
This
Thank
was
you so much.
very, very fun. We wish you the best and thank you for your thoughtful answers. Um, anything you want to leave us with before we head on out of here?
Um, you know, I would say just like if there's anyone, especially with the political climate and stuff going on right now, just check in with your friends. Like I know a lot of people who are struggling right now because of everything of the whiplash of what's going on right now. Just make sure your friends are doing all right.
That's once again very beautifully put. So we will get on that. I'll text my friends right after this, actually. But again, thank you for your time. This was great. We'll talk soon, and I hope you stay safe from the storm. Are y'all getting
Yeah.
the storm right now?
Yeah, I think it just passed, but yeah, I hope y'all are doing all right. I think are you getting tornadoes? Because we didn't have a warning, but
Yeah, we're actually it looks decent outside here, but I imagine in a few hours we'll get some of it. So
yeah, it was just some like it was very like scattered thunderstorms. It wasn't nothing crazy, but it was fun to just like relax and listen to it while I was like making coffee this morning. So it was chill.
nice. Okay, well, this has been episode 2 of Toxically Stoked. Thank you so much, and we're gonna stop recording.
Discovering something that doesn't exist.